Alright, what is going on YouTube? This is going to be my second video of the day I made, and what I'm going to be talking about today is a review about Season 3, and this is for the people that started to watch the show like midway through / the end of the season, so you could kind of know what happened in the beginning of Season 3. They started off, it showed them in the winter, and Lori was 8.5 months pregnant, and they found the prison. I believe, yes, it was the prison they found, and then Rick was just scared the whole time for Lori about the kid, and Rick doesn't even know if it's his kid or not. Everybody still lives. Rick, T-Dog, Daryl, Glenn, Maggie, Herschel, Beth, Carl. Everyone lives. And the first time they enter the prison, the group gets split up, and that's when Herschel gets bit. And they amputate his leg and see the 5 survivors in the prison just sitting locked in that cafeteria. And that is really it for the episode 1 of Season 3. Then we get to episode 2, where they kind of talk to the prisoners, and the prisoners have no idea what has happened. They still think there's a police, government, whatnot, and they agree to terms that, or Rick's group agrees to terms that they will clear out a cell block for the prisoners, and while doing so, the really big black guy, he got scratched by a walker, and Tomas just brutally kills him on the spot. I mean, it was horrible. And then Rick did not like what he's seen, and then they, while clearing it out, Tomas throws a zombie at Rick, and Tomas is like, shit happens, and then Rick just puts, I believe he put like, what was it, a machete? He just puts it right through his head, and he's like, yeah, shit happens. That was great when that happened. And so Andrew, one out of the 3 remaining prisoners, escapes out of nowhere into, I believe it was, I'll just call it the courtyard, which leaves only Axel and Oscar left for the prisoners. So yeah, they're gonna have to come to terms with Rick, and that's just about it for episode 2, which was called Second Out. For episode 3 is called Walk With Me. And that is when Andrea and Michonne, they see the helicopter crash in the forest. So they're hiding, trying to see what's going on. They see a couple military men there. Excuse me. And that's when they first see the governor and a couple guys. And they're taking back to Woodbury, which is the town the governor's in charge of, with 73 residents. And the leader of the community is the governor, as we all know. And they get information from one of the surviving soldiers, who was, I believe it was Private Wells, and he informs them of where his kind of little base is. And then the governor takes his strongest squad out there, takes out the whole squad, takes their vehicles, weapons, food, supplies, everything they had, and they informed Wells and everybody that they were killed by walkers by the time they got there. So that's all that basically happened in episode 3. And then episode 4 is called Killer Within. Basically, when Rick tries to negotiate with the group on what they should do, should they let the prisoners join them? And a lot of people weren't happy because they're prisoners. They don't trust them. I mean, you can't really trust prisoners, but they could be good people, and you just never know. Everybody makes one mistake, and you'll be in prison. T-Dog's really the only one that agrees for them to join. And then a trap was set, the alarm started going off, the gate was cut open, unlocked, and Rick and a couple guys have to go shut down the generators. Oscar joins them to lead them the way to it, and eventually they find Andrew, which was one of the most surprising things that probably happened this season, because everybody thought he would be dead. I mean, he was out there, you heard him screaming and whatnot, and he escaped from it. And while doing so, Oscar makes a decision whether to shoot Andrew or Rick, and he takes out Andrew, which really gains Rick's respect. And then, meanwhile, all this happened, and T-Dog tries closing the gate with all the walkers in it. He gets bitten, and him and Carol lead the way through the prison, and T-Dog goes out like a hero, basically sacrifices himself for Carol to escape, and then she's gone. And then Lori, with Maggie and Carl, has to go under a C-section, which she does not survive, but the baby does. And Carl has to put her down. And, excuse me, Andrea starts to have feelings for the governor, and that's basically it. At the end of episode 4 and going into episode 5, which was called Say the Word, governor sets up a huge picnic for the Woodbury residents. Everything's going good right now. Andrea enjoys it. Michonne knows something's up with the governor and just doesn't like his idea and his personality at all. And we really got to see Merle in episode 5 the most. We saw him in episode 3, also the first time we've seen him since like season 1, which was pretty crazy after seeing Daryl hallucinating, seeing his brother. Season 5 was just one of those episodes where a lot happened the episode before, and then just the next episode everybody's just like sad and whatnot. And Michonne decided to leave the town. Andrea stayed, they parted ways, and Rick finds out about Lori's death, and he is not happy at all with it. Disappointed himself for having such hatred while she was pregnant towards her, and he just goes on a walker rage. Daryl and Maggie go on a scavenger run to go find some baby formula for the baby so the baby does not pass away. And that's when Rick really starts to go crazy and hears that phone call in the same room I believe Lori died in, or around that way. And that leads into episode 6, which is called Hounded. And this episode was still kind of boring. A couple nice action things happened. Rick and the phone, nothing really good about that, but Daryl finds Carol and she's alive, she's fine, survived. And what else do we have happen? The governor sends out Merle, Tim, and Crawley to hunt down Michonne, and she just, I can't remember. I remember she definitely sliced off one of their heads. I remember that, which was awesome. And Merle shoots her in the leg and convinces the governor that she's dead for good. And Gargiulo wants to pursue her, and Merle just wants to go back and say, we killed her, but they really didn't, and Merle just puts him down too. So that was pretty crazy. And then I believe this is when Michonne at the end approaches the prison gates with the baby formula, and Rick sees her. And that's really all that happens in that episode, which leads into episode 7, When the Dead Come Knocking. And that's when Rick and Carl rescue Michonne, bring her in, a little bit. They're not really happy with her because they don't really know her. Trying to get information. Herschel fixes her up a little bit. Rick and Carl decide to name the baby Judith after, I believe it was Carl's, couldn't remember if he said second grade teacher's name or something like that. And Merle captures Glenn and Maggie, and he tries to get out all the information about the prison, how many people they have, whatnot. And he threatens to rape Maggie. He brutally beats Glenn. I mean, I'm surprised Glenn still had teeth after all of that happening, honestly. And he puts a gun to Glenn's head. Maggie breaks out and tells him they're at the prison. And the group goes to Woodbury to go save Glenn and Maggie. Daryl's with them, Oscar, Michonne, Rick. They come across a poor guy in the shed just living alone. They kill him and feed him to the walkers. And Milton does his little experiment, and after that, they finally reach Woodbury Walls. And that leads into the mid-season finale, Made to Suffer. And the mid-season finale was pretty good. I mean, we saw Oscar die in it when they successfully rescued Glenn and Maggie, and Glenn tells him that Merle is still alive, and Daryl stays while Rick and the others flee back to the prison. Michonne finds the room full of heads and his dead daughter, who is a walker. And before she kills the daughter, Governor comes in, kills the daughter right in front of him, and hell breaks loose. The aquarium tanks break. He has her sword, or she doesn't have her sword yet, I can't remember. And she takes a piece of glass, puts it right into his eyes, which he would have died. He would have died and not survived that. And meanwhile, we see the 5 survivors, a small group: Tyrese, his sister, and the family of 3. And Carl finds them in prison. He hears the girl screaming. He goes out, notices that the one's bit, locks him in the other room. And the governor says they were attacked by so-called terrorists and accuses Merle of aiding his brother and Rick and the others to Woodbury, and pushes them into a marina and tells them to fight till death. And I'm going to stop it here, and that's basically what happened from episode 1 through 8 of season 3. Alright, thank you.